Drenden's been dead for years. All this time. And you never once sensed my presence.
So getting back into World of Warcraft after 5 years should be a disaster. I mean, this is an MMO. Historically, if you take a break longer than a grocery run, you come back to 17 new currencies, 3 borrowed power systems, a talent tree that looks like it was designed by a conspiracy theorist, and an NPC yelling at you about saving reality again. And yet somehow they made it easy. Now listen, I say this as a self-certified Blizzard skeptic. I have my, and that's to say it lightly, I have my membership card. I've complained on forums in the past. I've done my civic duty, but credit where it's due. Retail WoW is quietly become very good at onboarding, returning, or even new players. The alright that happened experience. One of the smartest things they've done is streamlined all the expansion content, especially the previous one. There's this recap feature, Tome of Recap, lore catch-up device, magical book of here's what you missed, whatever the official name is. It basically walks you through the critical campaign beats back to back. You're not wandering aimlessly, wondering why a dragon is crying or why the sky is purple. It feeds you the important story chapters in a tight sequence, and it levels you absurdly fast while doing it. Is it perfect? No. It's a little buggy. I got stuck mid-campaign on my priest, just soft locked. I couldn't progress, but this is key. It happened after I got the achievement for finishing the War Within campaign, so technically mission accomplished. Now let's talk about the real fear when you return after years away. You log in, you open your spellbook, you see 32 abilities, you panic. Well, Blizzard looked at that and said, what if one button? Yes, that's real. There's now an assisted rotation feature that effectively turns your class into a high functioning macro with opinions. You press one button, it cycles through abilities in a reasonable order. Is it optimal? No, because it increases the global cooldown with 25%, I believe. But does it matter while leveling? Absolutely not, no way. You level so fast now that you barely have time to internalize your rotation anyway. So if you just want to get your bearings, throw that button on your bars and go full caveman mode. Bonk key, repeat. You'll perform fine in the leveling content, probably fine in the normal and heroic dungeons also. You might even sneak into mythic zeros without anyone noticing, you know, but I'm not sure about that. But once you get into actual high mythic plus keys or serious raid content, yeah, that's where training will start squeaking loudly. And that's fair. That's a fair thing. It would suck if you could just complete all content with peak efficiency with one button. Come on, it's too much. But for what it wants to do, it's a perfect addition, I think. And you will learn rotation just by using that button, you know, because you see what it casts, and after a while you can just take it off. So yeah, it's onboarding, not automation, you know. Story mode raids, they're a gentle, very gentle introduction into raids. And listen, here's where I'm conflicted, you know. Story mode raids exist so players can see the narrative conclusion without committing to organized raiding. Conceptually, that's a great thing, but the execution, you defeat bosses before they finished introducing themselves, you know. It feels less like a raid and more like a guided museum tour where the exhibits occasionally fall over. And that's a shame because I love raids. I always have, and I will always. I don't know why the TV started, but sure. That's a shame because they're one of the World of Warcraft's strongest pillars. Mechanical coordination, progression, spectacle. If Blizzard's goal is to get new players excited about raiding through story mode, I'm not convinced. It might unintentionally undersell how epic real raids actually are. Now, professions went from clickcraft to spreadsheet simulator in a good way, and this surprised me also. The professions are actually interesting now. The old system was basically have materials, click craft, number go up. Congratulations, now you're a blacksmith. Now there's the specialization, knowledge points, material quality tiers, crafting depth, long-term progression. It's more complex, substantially more complex, but in a meaningful way. There's economic strategy now, there's identity, there's decision making. It feels like a system you can invest in rather than something you tolerate. I'm genuinely excited to explore it properly in midnight. That's not sarcasm, that's actually enthusiasm. Marketing calendar. Now let's briefly talk about the delves, for the most socially selective among us. These are another strong addition to the game. They give solo players a structured, scalable way to gear up and practice their class. That's the most important thing for me, at least, because the leveling is so fast. I feel I didn't have enough time to learn my new class, you know. And delves, they are just the perfect thing, you know. Anyway, do they replace dungeons and raids? Hell no. Nothing replaces coordinated group chaos with real humans, in my humble opinion. But for players who want progression without scheduling their lives around 19 other people, delves are just fantastic. Or, you know, for the most antisocial among us, you know who you are. I will not name any names, but I know you and I see you. Now let's briefly talk about the flying. Oh my god, the flying. This might be my favorite change. They absolutely nailed, and they absolutely took inspiration from Guild Wars 2 mount design, and I don't even care. Still from the best. Perfect. Momentum based flying feels phenomenal. Their speed, physics, flow, traversal isn't just press spacebar and point upward anymore. It's engaging. If I had one nitpick, landing feels slightly weightless. I'd love just a bit more inertia, you know, more impact feedback and more but that's nitpicking at a high level. The system is excellent as it is. The War Within versus Dragonflight now. I have only one thing to mention here, and this has to do with the story, obviously. The War Within surprised me. I expected dragons to be cooler than usual anti-hero, void whispers and underground spider empires. Ooh. On paper, dragons win every time. And yet, I was more invested in Xalatat, Fith and the Nerubians than I ever was in the Dragonflight cast. I'm a simple man, what can I say? That's not because dragons are lame. Dragons are objectively cool. They just somehow made them less compelling than a morally ambiguous void entity with a suspicious smile. And that's impressive in a weird way. So was it worth coming back? Honestly, yes. I had generally good experience over the past week or so. I only had to Google something 3 or 4 times, I believe, and for an MMO 5 years deep into updates, that's almost a miracle for me, at least. Usually when I go back to a live service game after that many years, I have to watch guides. I need to do research, to read through wikis and stuff. Here, no. I just found out things on my own, and I need to give Blizzard credit for all of it. Now, do I still think Blizzard struggles creatively sometimes? That's the nice way of saying they are usually creatively bankrupt. Sure, I think they do struggle a lot. Do I still question their broader decision making as a company? Absolutely. But with World of Warcraft, they continue, annoyingly so, to deliver a polished, accessible experience that respects returning players' time and new players. And that's a rare win in my book. Blizzard W, as people call it online for some reason. So yeah, I didn't expect to say it to say this in 2026, but here we are. Oh, and warbands. Insane, very cool feature. I love it. I love the bonus XP it gives, and I love you can do this. You can write a sentence with your names, with your character names, you know, and it's very cool. Yeah, I'm like that. I'm naming my characters in the very. This is from a song, from a Romanian song, by the way. Don't judge me too harshly. It's from an old Romanian song. Yeah, I will not translate what it means.